Welcome to episode 46 of the Improvised Music Agenda podcast. And I guess this time is singer and songwriter Emma Frank. Let's have a listen.
When the waves have opened and I'm
Right, I hope you're all doing well. So, I don't know. Should I mention the pandemic? Maybe not. I mean, there's enough mention of it in this podcast, as you'll soon hear, with Emma Frank. So, this episode was recorded back in May, and I've just sat on it for way too long. And sorry about the less frequency in podcasts. I did promise it would be monthly, but I've dropped the ball, and that's fine. You know, it's fine. Hopefully there'll be some other ones. There's no new episodes in the can at the moment, but I know everything has stopped, kind of, but I've sort of been busy with other things as well, and just trying to play as much music as possible when we're allowed. So that's been kind of taking over. Anyway, before I mention about Emma, I'm trying to think of news to say. Bandcamp Friday. Yes, Bandcamp Friday. So, as many of you already know, there is a thing called Bandcamp Friday. I mean, this shout out is mainly for the people who don't know. But if you go over to Bandcamp, throughout the whole pandemic, they have been doing a thing where they give 100% of the whole share. They don't take any cut, and they go straight to the artist, which has been a bit of a lifesaver. And in doing that, people have been kind of collecting more albums and being able to sell more, and it's been a beautiful thing, and people have been checking out more things. So, if you have a few quid spare, and think of those artists who are really struggling at the moment, please go over to Bandcamp, and you'll be able to find our guest this week, or this time, this month, this half of the year. She is on Bandcamp. If you just look up Emma Frank on Bandcamp, you can find her records there. So that links back to Emma. So, Emma. I got an email out of the blue. When was it? It was like September 2019. Saying she was looking for a bass player in the UK, and gave me an email on recommendation from Jim Black. And so I was really excited to hear that. And then I kind of, without hesitating, I said yes. But then I kind of searched up her music, and I realised I'd listened to some already before, because there's a great video of Jim, Rick Rosato, Aaron Parks, and Emma. Well, they're all playing Emma's music, and it's beautiful. So anyway, but then I kind of put two and two together, and I was like, oh yeah, this music's killer. So anyway, I went to listen to the actual record that was coming out, and that was, I don't know, even higher level and more, I don't know, it's just incredible music, it's kind of more to the core of the message of the music, I guess. It was very moving music. So it was really cool to be able to sub in that band, but also, I was curious to see how Emma came up with all this music, and how she kind of conceives of creativity and stuff. So I thought, what other way is there than to just interview her on my podcast? I mean, that's the joy of having a podcast, I guess. So this conversation we had was recorded back in May. I think it was 16th of May, or 15th of May, maybe. I think it was just before my daughter's birthday. So it was it's nice to catch up, and so some references may be out of date because we're talking about the whole deep lockdown when everyone was in a bit of a funny mental state, and I'm sure you've all listened to all the kind of corona podcasts where people say, oh yeah, so how are you dealing with lockdown? I mean, I'm totally guilty of that as well. And you're probably going to hear more of that from this one, but after today, if I do more interviews, I will avoid that, hopefully. Yeah, anyway. So, without rambling more, let's hear our conversation with Emma Frank.
Ask for some time to collect all my raggedness, the ends that I've untied. I know that you love me, but I've been so hard.
The whole computers.
Yeah, I've been doing pretty good. Yeah, I mean, this is a really weird time. Like, it's really, on really good days, I'm like, whoa, it's kind of weird that I feel really good. And on bad days, I'm like, well, it's pretty understandable that I feel bad. Like, it's just, you know, like I go on walks in the park every day and it's really, really beautiful there. And then somebody passes you without a mask a little too close and you're just like, man, and I get really angry. And, yeah, but I'm like, you know, trying to go easy on myself and not have too many expectations of what this time is supposed to be.
That's totally, yeah. It's like, yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Like, yeah, it's kind of have days like where it's like totally cool, but then like moments where it's like,
Yeah.
oh god, when's stuff gonna happen again? You know, like.
I know. It kind of occurred to me, I think, because it's been 2 months since I've worked my last shift at my restaurant, at Prune in the East Village, and I feel like it took 2 months for me to be like, oh, that's what I just lost. This is kind of actually enormous. And I didn't realize it because I'm always whining about not having enough time to work on music, which give me all the time in the world and I will find ways to still not work on music. But but the camaraderie of just like seeing people every day and like even just like putting on a dress that I like and like knowing that my girlfriends at work are going to be like, great dress, you know, just these like little ego boosts and feelings of connection that I think I took for granted.
Yeah, no, same here. It's like, yeah, it's mad, isn't it? Even just like bumping into people, you know, it's kind of feels like a scary thing. Like, going for
totally.
walks. It's
You're like, whoa, yeah, and also like, please stay away from me. Yeah. What's the vibe like in London and in the neighborhood that you're in?
Yeah, it's alright. It's yeah, because I guess it's weird because like there's been a kind of slight easing of lockdown
Right.
this week, which feels like, I don't know whether it's a weird decision.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like too soon, but you know.
Totally.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's alright. Like, you know, kind of people are kind of keeping the distance and stuff, but you see the occasional kind of like teenager
Who just
like,
doesn't give a crap.
gang of teenagers. Yeah, exactly. And then it's like, but then, yeah, but it's quite mad though. But it's
Yeah.
nice, kind of. We've been kind of taking more walks and stuff as well, so that's kind of one
Right.
nice thing to come of it.
I know, totally. It's interesting to me, like what life in a city, how redundant life in a city kind of becomes when there's no commerce anymore, and also you can't see people. Like that, just so much of the reason that I'm here is people, and this has kind of grossed me out, shopping. Like I don't think I fully like comprehended how much of my day is like, I'm just gonna stop in here for a coffee, like maybe just look at this thing here, like, you know, obviously not every day, but that once commerce is all shut down and I can't go out to people's shows and stuff, I'm like, well, I might as well be living in the country.
Yeah, no,
Farm
totally.
somewhere.
I've been, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I've been thinking that though. Yeah, because we've been kind of thinking like, once it's okay to go to my parents' house in North Wales, like to be on their farm for a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I don't know. But it's kind of mad
Totally.
vibe. But luckily we've got some like greenery around where we live and stuff. So
That's awesome. How's your daughter
it's
dealing with all of it?
yeah. I think the saddest thing is when she misses her friends, like at daycare and stuff. So that's really
Oh no.
yeah. So
Poor
so whenever
baby.
she's like, occasionally she'll just like have a little cry and just say like, oh, I missed my friends, and want to play PJ Masks and stuff.
And you're like,
it's
me
"Oh."
too. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's so
totally.
sweet. Oh man.
But it's quite nice. This morning they like had a Zoom meeting with the other children, at the nursery. They did like a little yoga session with 3-year-olds and
Oh
stuff.
my
but,
god. Whoa. That's really awesome.
It's quite sweet, but it's quite nice because my daughter, she's got her birthday this Sunday.
Is she turning 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she 24. Yeah. So but she was just telling like all her friends like, oh yeah, 2 sleeps until my birthday. It's like, which is really sweet. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's so good.
That's quite nice. But yeah. So have you been working on a bit of music?
I have
recently. You were saying.
Yeah, I'm. I mean, right before this all happened, my friend asked me to do a song a week with her, and that she was like holding me accountable to it. And actually, just recently, another friend of mine told a bunch of people that she was doing a song a day, and I was like, oh,
wow.
What? How are you doing that? So my song a week was actually a pace that I like. The first half of the week, I would always be like, shit, I'm not gonna make it. I don't have anything. Like, who do I think I am trying to write songs? This is pathetic. And then like just at 7 days was like enough time for me to lose confidence in myself, regain it, and like also finish something ish. And now I'm just sort of like trying to keep that pace up a little bit, but honestly feeling also like one of my goals in doing a song a week was trying to challenge my own kind of like that I sort of use as an excuse the idea of like creative inspiration or like clarity, moments of clarity, that like I want songs to come out of a moment of clarity rather than just like me complaining about my neighbors who aren't wearing masks and did their cycling wrong again. Although other people I'm sure could write totally great songs like that. But and so I wanted to challenge myself every time I sat down to trust that if I gave myself time in that moment, that I would come to a moment of clarity within that, half an hour or whatever. And that I would also, through editing and through a week's time, be able to like take out the pieces that were meaningful and that I needed. And I think there have definitely been a couple of like quarantine songs that have come out for me, that have come out of me. One of which I'm like, ew, that's so buzzwordy. Like it's so just like hashtag quarantine song. Like which I just can't. Like some of the Instagram, like the first week, just all the pop stars that were just like, put your masks on stay home. And you're just like, what could possibly make you want to do that? Unless maybe their labels in the back are just like, yeah, like, can you write something like really fast? Like, it's just like, what is that? But anyways, I have found that I just want to be like kind of careful with the things that I'm saying right now. And so I'm finding I'm a little bit slower with my writing.
Yeah, but, I guess. Sorry. Yeah, I guess that's the tough thing with. I don't know. It's making sure it's making music for the sake of music rather than like going to that gimmick of quarantine kind of based thing, which I don't know. It feels weird. It's like, there was loads of people saying like, oh yeah, we've got to make like so many solo albums are going to come out of this thing, but it feels like, hang on, but is that for
Well, right.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's also like,
figure out.
Because there's also like such an abundance of content right now, whether it's like New York Times, like how to stay sane in quarantine, or like whatever it is that I obviously have no more of a clue about what's going to happen to any of us than anybody else does. And just sort of trying to, there's just like a speechlessness there for me, really, that I'm like, what? And also sometimes a really doom attitude that I
Yeah.
have to let go of. And my friend reminded me the other day, he was like, we're gonna get to choose to live a new way. And it might
Yeah.
not feel like a choice or actually be, like there's some privilege like in just the word choice, but it was a nice reminder.
Going back to what you were saying with finding the moments of clarity with the creative process.
Mm-hmm.
So is that usually your process when you're writing? So like, would you kind of wait until that moment and kind of have something come from that, like whether it be like a musical gesture or something with words or...
Yeah, I'm sort of embarrassed to say it out loud because it's like absolutely an inefficient way of working. Just like go on a 3-hour walk and see if you get any cool ideas and then record them on your phone and then listen back to them. But yeah, I mean, I basically like try and focus on feeling good in my day and allowing there to be enough space like where I don't have other obligations, which is easy right now because I'm unemployed, for me to document anything that comes up if I do feel inspired, and then space also in the following days to return to that and sort of weed out what's working and what's not, and if there's an idea there that can blossom into something.
Ah, cool. So, but has that been the process you've been having recently, especially the last couple of records?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's sort of been my process since I've been songwriting, and, things will come out in different ways, whether I'm writing at an instrument or not. But in general, like I improvise and then I record that and then I listen back to it. And, I feel like if I'm lucky, in about 9 or 11 minutes, that's how long these voice memos normally are, I like will have sketched a melody for a verse, a couple alternatives for a chorus, maybe a bridge, and how much I actually stick with is like, but I like it when something comes out in kind of a, if not a cohesive way, that I feel like they're all part of the same thought process, kind of.
Sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. Oh, cool. But yeah, no, because I'm interested to hear like how some of those ideas translate to the final thing. So, but I guess the music of yours I'm most familiar with the 2 records that Come Back and Ocean Ave.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but not just from seeing that music, or like I haven't seen it written down as well. When you showed me the chart before, I was just like, I'm amazed kind of how natural it all sounds and the way it looks as well. It like looks kind of almost I don't know how to say it in better good words, but yeah, like how natural it sounds, but like on paper it just looks kind of like there's all this like all these corners, but it feels like,
Oh God, I know.
But to the ear, it makes so much sense.
I know. I actually right now I'm finding that my writing is very lacking in corners, and I'm also, the way that I'm working on this kind of collection of songs is I'm notating very little, and planning on playing it with all the same people all the same time. So like, there are lead sheets, but it's really nice to ask people to learn stuff by ear, just in terms of like how much more instinctive everything becomes when you're not like 15. Sorry, but also I didn't go to school for music, and so I feel like there's actually just so much in my writing, and in me sort of simplifying my writing in certain ways, that is like really just learning the learning curve of like literally just learning how to make music.
If we could like rewind a bit to like when you went to college, so did you go to study music, or at McGill, or was it?
I studied literature there.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But I guess, but is that where you kind of got onto like some sort of scenes and stuff with the whole?
Yeah, totally.
So was it on some sort of like, were you singing a bunch of like singer-songwriter jazz kind of things when you were there?
Yeah, it's so funny. I've been thinking about my time in Montreal a lot lately, and the school was a large presence in my mind. I think because I'm a believer in academia in certain ways, because my mother is an economics professor, like school, yeah. And so I had this sense that like the jazz voice program at McGill was something that I wanted to aspire to. When looking back, I'm like, wow, I'm glad that I didn't kind of go deeper into that in that direction than I did, just because the focus was like, it was really not a program designed for singers who are going to be professional singers. It was very much like, you're the one singer in the class, you're doing giant steps, you do it all by ear, you have to solo on it. Okay? And everybody's kind of bored for your solo as they like watch you, struggle through it. And I had so little musical training that was not, I was just like, this is so impossible seeming to me. Whereas I think about some of my friends that went to Berkeley who like from the get-go, like being a singer-songwriter is something that you go there to learn to get better at. So I feel like McGill was sort of like, the school itself was really narrow in what it was preparing singers for. And when I like kind of think about the scene and like the way that I chose to identify myself as like more jazz adjacent when I was there, that I just was, it just all has sort of been turned on its head a little bit coming to New York, because there are so many more people, and like those the same dichotomies do not exist.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, amazing. So, but I was just thinking, like, with your musical upbringing. Mm-hmm. So were you always into singing, or did you play other instruments as a kid?
I was definitely always into singing. My mom was like, you are going to take piano lessons and you're going to thank me for it. And I did not. I hated it. And I'm just, as I don't know, as a 32-year-old with all this time on my hands right now, I'm definitely thinking a lot about these like very pivotal moments where my mom, for example, is like, you're going to take piano lessons. And I'm like, this isn't fun. I can already sing and I already sound good. Why do I have to sit doing scales? This sucks. Like these very basic things about like taking a chance and learning a new thing and being bad at the new thing, and how uncomfortable I was with that at a young age, because I had in my head, I was like, I have a good voice, so naturally talented. I don't really need to do anything else. And how far you fall behind in other people who are actually learning to learn. So that's something that I'm like, wow, I really disadvantaged myself by like being so reluctant to learn so often. But yeah, I took piano lessons. The thing that started to actually click with me piano-wise was when I started taking lessons when I was 14 with a singer named Amanda Basinger, and she is a songwriter and went to Berkeley and was just taught me how to play chords and support myself when I sang. And I feel like since then it's just been me really just wanting to express myself and being like, what building blocks do I need in order to express myself well? And with all the like broadness and also like limitedness of that question, kind of.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, but I sort of feel a bit like that with the piano thing, because yeah, I was like really well, how old was I? Like 12, 13 kind of thing. I was really getting to the bass and like learning all those rock tunes and stuff. But you know, like, but I sort of started like some piano lessons when I was 14 or something, just to kind of try, I don't know, get some theory, quote unquote, kind of thing. But
right.
Yeah, but I mean, I wish I would have stuck with that, or put more time into it back then before quitting so soon. Just because I wish I had some of those chops right now, like
Totally.
being able to see things not just on the bass, like visualizing things on a certain instrument. But yeah, just to have that on the piano
For
and just have like
sure.
another outlook. Yeah,
But I also think, and it's funny because my mother's mother was a classical piano player, and so all of her siblings studied classical music, and I grew up like associating classical music with my mom vacuuming and singing really loudly and abrasively, and so I was just like, that's not for me. Classical music is my mother vacuuming. And I think that when I look at the piano teacher that I had, there are so many strict piano teachers who you see them with kids who maybe have a really creative impulse in a way, or like a lot of creative intuition, but they have to play scales. And it's just, I think if I had maybe been with a different teacher, that maybe I would have stuck with it. But it's okay,
Just thinking, like, when you were starting to get like really into the kind of sound of music, so like what sort of stuff were you checking out? Like what?
Yeah, when I was how old?
Like for example, like when you were first like buying CDs or like listening to things and kind of really seeking things out. like what?
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, okay. I had the Ace of Base CD of the song I Saw the Sign. So that was great. I had the Jesus Christ Superstar soundtrack.
Yeah.
I had a Nina Simone record, that like some best of record that I thought was really great. A lot of the Beatles, Simon and Garfunkel, whole lot of Christina Aguilera, which I'm actually kind of interested now. I'm like, what did 13-year-old me see in that person? Because I really just thought it was the best. But the things that like I kept listening to were the Nina Simone and the Motown and the Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah. Because, yeah, but it's interesting to see the trends, like the things gravitating towards like where everyone gravitates towards. But like, yeah, you're saying with the Motown thing, I remember like Stevie Wonder was a big one. Those records he did with, was just him, when he's got all the Moog synths and plays all the drums and stuff.
Oh yeah, totally. Like his early stuff.
Yeah, one of the like mid-70s kind of thing. But yeah, I remember kind of. Yeah, was it? Yeah, like Innovisions and Talking Book and those records.
Oh, I didn't realize he was playing all the instruments on that. Cool. That's
think
amazing.
He is anyway. Yeah. But yeah, but yeah, those ones for sure. Like, because I think that's a Motown, isn't it? But yeah. But but in terms of like the whole Motown thing, I feel myself like coming back to a lot of it at the moment.
Yeah.
Especially hearing the detail within, like what
Totally.
went into those is pretty incredible.
I mean, I think also just like just like the amount of soul, right? The amount of soul, the amount of like attention, intention, presence, joy in like each note of so many of those recordings. You're just like, it's so electrifying the whole time.
Yeah.
Especially
for sure.
I think when like, when so much of my music making happens alone in my living room, that there's like, it's like such extroverted music, kind of, in a really authentic way that doesn't feel, not in a Katy Perry fireworks kind of way.
Yeah, no, totally, yeah. But it's that's interesting, that, isn't it? Like how the trend with like popular music is kind of gone with that, like, yeah, like it's kind of how sort of progressive that must have been at the time, all that music,
right?
and compare it to now, like what's popular now. is
Yeah.
kind of mad how like audiences' ears have just accepted this kind of, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I also think, and I feel like I'm not going to be very, okay, I know I'm not going to be very articulate about this. So this might just be, you might just want to skip over this. But I also think I'm really used to my mother, and I'm really used to straight men I know saying that there's no good pop music right now.
Right, yeah.
And I feel like all the queer people I know are just like, shut up. What's wrong with you? Like just that there's a performative quality to a lot of pop music that like really requires that you have watched the music video and
Sure.
requires that you know what the outfit is and that you know what the dance move is, and like that there's just so much context informing why something is interesting apart from just like it sounds good.
Yeah. Sure,
And I think I know I forget that sometimes because I'm not really trained to listen to music that way.
Yeah, no, I guess that's the thing, isn't it? Once we're kind of further down the rabbit hole with the whole learning music thing.
Yeah,
missed that.
totally.
Yeah, but I do have to say, things I've been checking out very briefly that popular at the moment, like like Billie Eilish. That's like some of that's pretty.
Oh my
killer.
god, she's so good. It's crazy. Yeah,
Yeah.
some of that's so killer. I also, Pedro and I have gotten really into the Drake song, the one that's like right foot up, left foot slide, left foot up, right foot slide. Basically, I'm saying either way we about to slide. So let's not let this one slide. I'm not sure what the word is, but it's so simple and catchy, and there's a really dumb dance, and it feels good to do.
Cool, yeah. Man, it's funny. I was doing a function gig. I must have been like just over a year ago, like this restaurant gig, this posh place, and it's funny. Like Drake was there,
Whoa!
but they had to like bring him through the back entrance and like shut the whole restaurant down for a minute.
Right.
But
Crazy.
it's quite funny. So we were playing, but his bodyguard was stood right next to us. It was almost like on the stage because the stage bit was like in the middle of the restaurant. And it's funny, this guy just like loads of tattoos, massive guy, just like looking really bored, just like going through his WhatsApp.
Oh my god.
But then he went to the singer and said, "Oh yeah, do you guys sing any Sade?" And then requested the song. But yeah, it's funny. He gave the singer like a $500 tip, I think.
Oh yeah.
Which I found
so
quite funny.
good.
Yeah, he just carries like dollars in
Oh my
cash
god.
when he's in the UK.
Covering Sade for Drake. That's good. That's
Yeah.
really good.
That was
I
funny.
like that a lot.
But yeah, but no, it's a funny thing. But that's the only thing I know about Drake. Really, I haven't actually heard any of his music. Just
Right. Well,
that
I mean, I'm
know-
sure you've heard it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just
I mean,
didn't know that it was him.
Yeah, like but yeah, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so just thinking, yeah, like with the whole listening kind of thing. So were you performing with a bunch of bands or friends when you were growing up as well before the college days?
No. High school, I was in musical theater. And then I was in musical theater, first of all. I was in theater. I was doing a lot of dance. And then, come senior year, I became the singer for like a funk fusion band made up of my stoner boyfriends. Not all of whom were actual boyfriends at all. And so that was sort of a funny... The community that I was in was like... The community that I was in, music was a very gendered thing to be a part of.
Okay.
And that was kind of interesting. Just as a community, I was like, okay, so I can either be with all my best female friends and gay male friends, or I can hang with the all male stoner crew
Yeah,
with the long hair. Like that was sort of the choice in high school, it felt for me at the time.
totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess it still feels a bit like that at the moment with music in some way, isn't it? It's kind of, yeah, because I've noticed like with kind of like, yeah, all the scenes. I guess it gets a bit kind of, yeah, still pretty male dominated, unfortunately. You know.
Yeah. Right. I mean, I think it's just like I don't even know how to, but the more women that do it. I mean, right now actually, the number of women musicians that I know who blow my mind make me think back. I mean, so right now I'm recording demos, and maybe we'll release them as songs that we've crafted remotely, but I'm basically doing keyboard and voice and then sending it to my guitar player, and Pedro's doing percussion on it and so forth, and we're just sort of bouncing tracks back and forth. But I realized opening Pro Tools that I have made the mistake since I was around people doing recordings. I made the mistake of being like, oh yeah, I don't get it, I'm not going to touch that. And there was just always and it could have been a girl, but it was always a guy in the room that was like, I'll be in charge of this. Right. And the more women that I see excelling, I'm just like, oh, so that was just a lie that I told myself, that I couldn't do that for some reason. So I shouldn't even try to learn it. Yeah. And it's sort of interesting, like waking up from that and also being like, well, I'm a little old now, but like, hell yeah, Billie Eilish. Good for you.
Yeah, totally. I mean, yeah. But no, it's quite interesting. It's kind of, yeah, how it's all turning now more. But like just realizing kind of the inequality has been there, like, up until very recently. I guess, it's still there, but like, yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
The fact.
Well, and also how much it's like not even intentionally passed down. It's like, it's myths that we create for ourselves.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. Yeah, totally. It's yeah, it's mad though. But it's it's amazing. I don't know, like, but it's kind of, yeah, things are getting a bit more equal now, I suppose. I hope it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope too. I mean, I think yeah, I hope so too. I think that like just personally, I'm noticing that what I had told myself repeatedly was that my skill was being intuitive creatively, like whatever that, if we're talking like right brain, left brain, that like basically like let me be imaginative and let other people deal with the nitty gritty details. And yeah, I'm just learning how to learn again, is basically, I'm like trying to just zap that shit.
That's all good. Yeah. No, but yeah, but no, that thing of like learning how to learn again, I'm sort of feeling I'm back there as well. It's like,
it's crazy. What are you learning? What are you working on right now?
Well, it's just like learning how to actually record some stuff, or how to deal with all these, I don't know, or just thinking what it's going to be like in the future. Like, feels like a post-gig era in a way, you know, like how to deal with that and make money, or have that thing of performing. Like,
totally.
Yeah, but I don't know, it's, yeah, it's like with that whole online gig as well type of thing. I don't know, yeah, it's weird. Well, it feels like a cool thing, but then again, it's not the same, I can imagine. But then, yeah, it's how to make that sound as good as possible, or, yeah.
Right. It's funny, it's requiring like a new flexibility from all of us that I think probably like maybe saw ourselves as like maturing past the point that we would like have to start from the ground again, kind of. Yeah. And definitely just noticing how like resistant to technology I can be, and how like truly I'm going against history. by doing that. Like, you know, like nobody's just like, oh man, she's so cool for not learning how to use her computer correctly. You know, it's just like nobody listens to you because you didn't do it. And same with like Instagram and social media and all that is like, I have hated on it a lot, but I also scroll through it all day. And some people do a really good job at presenting their creative work on there in a way that doesn't feel icky.
Yeah, totally. That's the line that's really tough, isn't it? It's kind of yeah, like yeah. Because I keep thinking that with the whole social media thing, it feels like a necessarily evil at the moment. Well, not evil, but yeah, it's like I don't know. It somehow feels like it's not the real world on there. But then again, we're in a situation where it doesn't feel like the real world at all. Anyway, so it's like. Yeah, it's like learning to tune in to that as the new experience in a way. It's like I don't know,
yeah, totally. Or even like, even just trying to like maintain an authentic voice in a context that makes you feel inauthentic. You know, like it's weird to go on Instagram, period, which is like really just. My feed is house decor, advertisements to freeze my eggs, advertisements for ecologically made loungewear, and dogs, and then people's music stuff.
Cool.
And and so it's just a very odd thing that the like tool that most of us are using to get information about our artist friends is also the tool that is advertising to us and showing us and like kind of putting us in this like fugue state a lot of the time.
Because I was just thinking of the idea of like doing the online gigs or something, but knowing whether to do that properly or whether to kind of just put things up like compositions or you know like things that are filmed in an interesting way or even talks and stuff and then putting them on YouTube and seeing if there's a donate button, but then that feels like I don't know, yeah, who knows. It's just
I know
it's mad.
It's really tricky. Yeah, I for one have not been performing on Instagram. I performed once and I was like, oh, that felt so good to see the names of people that I know and care about jumping up on the screen, but I also am just like, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm in my pajamas.
Yeah.
I don't want to show people. You know?
Totally.
Yeah.
But yeah. But the thing is, it's funny. I've just been asked to do the first online gig, but that's like next month or some point. But it's funny the way that my friend was selling it to me, saying like in between each piece, he unmutes the mic on the Zoom meeting, and everyone claps between it, which I think is quite a nice idea. You know, it's kind of.
Whoa, that's very cute.
Yeah, but
and you guys are gonna like play live together as a band over Zoom?
Oh, so no. So these are like solo concerts.
Okay.
So yeah,
great.
So there's a part of me freaking out a bit about that. It's like it's kind of.
Yeah, well, I think that that's been probably the biggest thing for me, and probably for a lot of other people who are used to playing with other musicians, and like the support that you get from that. And the camaraderie and the energy and all those things, like just thinking, how can I present something that I'm happy with just by myself? Because I don't really normally do that. And it's making me look at my work habits and be like, well, why isn't this good? Can you fix that? And also coming to terms with some of like, you know, maybe it works in this very simple way that you can do. Maybe this is fine to share like this.
Yeah, no, totally. It's like, yeah, going back to that learning to learn thing as well. It's like the idea of I don't know, like having to be almost like a producer as well at the same time as all this,
right?
Like,
yeah,
because that sort of feels a bit like a separate role from being like just like old school musician, you know.
Huh.
Like,
how do you mean?
Like, it's kind of how to deal with like technology and the recording of stuff, you know?
Yes. Totally. Right.
Yeah, because like all, as far as I'm up to now, is just like, you know, putting a mic in front of the bass or whatever, and just recording, and then anything from there. The idea of like how to mix something to make it sound like coherent, and it's just like that feels like
Yeah.
a different.
For sure.
And playing with like different sounds, it's like kind of almost like the room is within the box then, isn't it?
Yeah.
But
That's interesting.
yeah, but that's definitely, it's like a thing. Yeah, so bring it back to like your music. So the last couple of records, so were they both recorded after? So you moved from McGill to New York.
Yeah, I moved from Montreal to New York 5 years ago now.
All right.
And the last two records were recorded. They were actually recorded in Montreal, but I had moved to New York, and they're with mostly New York band. Yeah.
So yeah, so just thinking like expanding kind of like how that music came around. So I guess like you had Aaron Parks on both those records, and like kind of just like those musicians within those circles, I guess. So do they have a big impact on the sound of the music?
Oh, of course. I mean, I don't even like. I mean, Aaron is a wizard. I think of him as a wizard because his sensitivity to music and to the emotions in a room and the emotions in a song, and his ability to translate that musically, and his like stamina for doing so. I've never encountered that before in someone, and it's so amazing. And having him focus that ear and that spiritual and musical attention on my songs was just, I was on cloud nine.
Yeah.
I was so happy. Yeah, it was so amazing to hear him play them. And especially because I'd sort of fantasized about him specifically playing those songs for a long time, because he was on my first voice teacher's record that I heard when I was like 16, and I grew really attached to the sound of this mystery piano player who I didn't know, but just so that it felt like a huge milestone in my life to have Aaron Parks, to have Jim Black, to have like, just these guys in New York that I respect so much, and who have also worked with people that I respect so much, to have them be like, yeah, these are good songs, let's record them. I was like, oh, me? I'm okay. Cool. And I'm thinking about that now because I'm thinking about what it means to lean on other people creatively. And I still do lots of leaning, and there are a lot of people in my life creatively that I ask for help, but I'm also noticing the ways that I think I kind of like gave up responsibility for my own music. And I would say that like definitely with Aaron, he was really in tune with me, and I'm really happy with how those songs came out. But just for example, I've played a few shows recently where I'm playing keyboard, and I'm really not as good as Aaron Parks at piano. like at all. And but they've actually been some of my favorite shows just because I'm being so much more, just in taking on more responsibility for the music, I'm able to lead it much better. And the my feeling of like emotional fluidity throughout the set is really much clearer.
Yeah. Because remember when we played, when I play that gig with you, but I remember, yeah, because I think there was a couple songs you played on the little keyboard.
Yeah,
but
and I was
that was amazing.
terrified.
But I felt like such a lift in the energy of the gig then.
Oh, that's so cool. That's really good to hear. Yeah, so now I'm like, you know what? I'm actually setting up like an actual keyboard, and maybe there's not another piano player there, and I'm still like, you know, counting on 2 guitars and stuff, but I guess I ultimately want to be able to perform in a way that touches people and in a way that feels soulful and like moving, and I want to be able to do it by myself or with one other person, and I'm not really there yet, but that's my goal.
Yeah, but the bill sounds good. But like from listening to a bunch of your music as well, like but it hits me straight away, just with the voice as well, where that range is incredible. Because like listening back to it, it's like, oh god, yeah, this is kind of like really heavy, kind of, you know. Is
cool.
Kind of,
thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, sorry, I'm really bad at describing things, but yeah, it's like, but the quality, yeah, it's not stuff I get from much other music, which I find, like, yeah, what I really like about your music as well. You know, it's kind of, is this like space emotionally where it's at, and I think, yeah, it's kind of, yeah, and the delivery of it, yeah, it's incredible. But yeah,
Cool.
but
that's awesome.
yeah, but I'm just thinking, so like with the collection of songs that you had, so yeah, like especially with Come Back, the latest record.
Mm-hmm.
So did you write a bunch of those songs within like a specific period of time?
Yeah, I mean, it's usually like a 2 year to 2 year kind of. That's been my process so far with making a record. It's like, this is about this chunk of time, and the record sort of documents this period of growing. And now I'm thinking about releasing singles, because who knows when I'm going to go into a studio again. And that's been kind of interesting, just in terms of the way that like a record gives me the sense of tying a neat bow around a certain period of my life. Like, that's what that was. And how that's kind of artificial in a way. Yeah. So like right now I'm definitely thinking about, I mean, the tour that we did, was it in September? I think it was.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, September. Yeah.
Yeah, the tour that we did in September, and another tour that we did in like Canada and the US here in October. I just got so much information from the audiences, just the feeling of the room, from being on stage during different songs. And the song I Thought, it's the first song on the album Comeback, like, always felt good. It always felt good in the room. People knew how to listen to it. They were familiar with it. And it's something that I think as a listener, when I hear songs that are too familiar, that I'm like too comfortable listening to, that I tune them out. But also that when there's not enough material that I can quickly latch onto, that I also zone out. And so I've been sort of wanting to construct more moments in the set that allow everybody to just relax and be like, oh, this is a chorus. Nice. I recognize the melody now because I already heard it 3 times. Great. Good. You know, like just giving people a chance to kind of center themselves.
Totally, yeah. But the fact you mentioned that song, I think, because I remember rehearsing that for the first time with you guys, and then, but it felt like slotting into something like nice and familiar, even though it was like the first time I played it. It was like, that feeling.
Yeah, totally. Well, and also just like the emphasis on like actual sound and lushness.
Yeah,
and
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, but yeah, tuning into that feeling as if it's like hearing the record almost. Well, not saying it's exactly the same as the record live, but it's like, yeah, but like that vibe is like crystallized, and then it's kind of,
Yeah, that ambient space is like, it's a clear space that you've entered into with other people. And yeah, I think that that feeling of like lushness, or just sort of, what am I trying to say? Oh, right. That Dom Mecki had a really big part in shaping the live set for that record, because he helped figure out what synth sounds would kind of create the best, like, steady, subtle glow musically.
yeah,
And again, it's a technology kind of learning curve where, especially for people that have been performing like mostly acoustically for a long time, that figuring out how to like get a sound that sounds transportative like the record does, takes time and equipment and and exploration.
yeah. But that's great. But as well, like with I was impressed with Frankie as well. How he's kind of the crafting of sound he had is just like, yeah.
Speaking of people that I depend on a lot, Frankie gets a phone call from me every single day. Whether it's me being like, how do I do this on Logic? Or like, what chord was that again? Or, do you mind? Just whatever. He's just like the most capable person musically that I've ever encountered, and it's kind of wild.
Yeah. That's mad. Yeah, but it's great. But but no, just to finish off. But I was thinking, but yeah, like just to kind of go to that thought as well. You were saying with the idea of like singles versus records at the moment, and that kind of, I don't know, like just elaborate maybe on your point, like you were saying, because I sort of agree with it, like it feels like a bookend to make a whole album in a way. And then, but I don't know, just like how the kind of creative process feels like it's changing with releasing music, I suppose, with singles. I don't know, like if you feel the same way, but like, it's kind of.
Well, I mean, I think totally it has. Like, I mean, I'm not fully clear on all of this, but my impression is that Spotify will allow you to have one highlighted track per release, which is why a label will roll it out of like first single, second single, third single, and then album. And that basically like highlighting those tracks allows you to get playlisted, or that when like you end up accidentally on radio or something, that your song comes up after the Dirty Projector song or after the Laura Marling song or whatever. And that it's just like all of this data and numbers and algorithms. And that feels so far removed from like albums and what listening to an album meant to me when I mean, there aren't that many albums that I like faithfully listen to front to back and feel this works as an album, because so many, especially commercial records, singer-songwriter records, there are 2 singles that are really awesome.
Yeah.
And then there's the like working towards those in the other songs. And I guess like I feel a little bit like I've actually kind of released a lot of music and I don't feel ashamed of any of the music that I released. Like, I'm very fine with embarrassing myself, and that was like the thing I was most comfortable with as a kid. But I do feel like if I could, I would go through my 4 records and I would pull out 2 songs from each and say, these are the ones that I'd actually like you to listen to.
Right, yeah.
And for all of like our, you know, musicy people, they will have listened to the whole record. But I just find that, especially for my non-musician friends, it's like either the song is perfection and does all the things that you need it to do, or someone's not going to listen to it again. And yeah, just to say that, like, I would love for the next tracks that I release to function really well on their own, regardless of like what album context they're a part of.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. I think it's a good place to finish the podcast. Yeah. But no, thanks so much with that thought. Yeah.
Thanks
for taking the time.
Yeah.
From pain.
Thanks so much, everyone, for checking in and listening to the podcast today. And thank you so much to Emma for her time. Sorry it took me 6 months to get around to editing it. But yeah, so hopefully see you soon. And yeah, stay safe. Bye.
We've got time to feel.